Welcome to week 3. Well, that should be 6. That's week 3 of our study, summer school study questions. So every week we're covering 5 questions. Last week, unfortunately, we had a foul and we only had 4 questions because we had a repeat. But that is a really good reminder that on this California State Licensing exam, sometimes you get repeat questions or you get very similar questions. And so for the test taker, oftentimes that could leave them with a little bit of doubt that maybe they're not adequately prepared. So don't let those things put a bump in the road. Just go through it and trust yourself and know that if you know the answer, give it the same answer. If you don't know the answer, then yeah, it's a good idea to strategize and give it 2 different answers. So remember, this is for exam prep use only. You always want to seek the advice of a licensed agent in your specific state for any specific questions you might have regarding your situation or regarding any type of rules in your state as well. So, this one's already highlighted. So the word persistency, if you see persistency, well, when we think of persistency, we think of somebody who's persistent, right? Who they don't give up, they hold on, they pursue things. In this context, persistency is important for all of the following reasons, except, remember, this is an except question. Except questions are important because what you're looking for is you're looking for the answer that doesn't fit. You're looking for the wrong answer. You're looking for the exception. And persistency, again, in the context of the insurance exam, we're talking about like policy retention, like the client maintaining and keeping the policy. It's important for them to keep the policy for a lot of reasons. Number one, the insurance company's biggest expenses comes from issuing the policy because they have to go through the underwriting process, right? They're paying the underwriter, they're paying the agent their commission. Oftentimes they're paying a portion of the advance commission. They are running all of the underwriting reports, more specific with life insurance. It could take a couple of years for the insurance company to recoup what they spent on issuing the policy because they may do a paramedical exam as part of the underwriting process. They'll get medical records. They may get like a motor vehicle record. They may do investigative consumer report. There's a number of different types of information that they're seeking in order to evaluate the risk. And of course, seeking that information is going to have a cost to it. And so all of the following except, so we're looking for the one that doesn't fit. So the exception for this particular question is each year the policy is in force, more insureds will use the benefit. So that's not why persistency is important. All right. All of the following are elements of a contract, except we have a little phrase that we use and we say clickety clack for elements of a contract. So clack, CL, and this is true for any contract, right? So clickety clack for elements of a contract. We have competent, or let's start with consideration. Consideration, that's an element. We have legal purpose. And I'm just going to define what the 4 elements of a contract include. And if you want more details and you're that analytical person, I definitely invite you to join our study hall. We do run a monthly study hall. You're welcome to join us. There's a registration link below, and that'll give you more detailed information. It also gives you an opportunity to ask questions live and in person. Consideration, legal purpose, agreement. An agreement is made up of an offer and acceptance. And then, of course, competent parties, which I was going to start with that, and I stopped myself. So competent parties would mean like sane, sober, 16, like they have legal capacity to enter into a contract. So all of the following except, the exception would be conditions, right? Conditions is a part of the insurance contract. However, it is not an element of a contract. So there's a very clear distinction there. When the insurer disallows the insured to receive more than their economic loss, what is this known as? Of course, this is known as the principle of indemnity. So, the insurance contracts are contracts of indemnity. That's actually one of the definitions of the insurance policy. It's part of the definition of the insurance policy. I oftentimes in class, whether it's study hall or live person, I will write down insurance policy. And then according to section 22 of the California Insurance Code, it is defined, and the insurance policy is defined as a contract. So it's going to be subject to contract law. It is a contract whereby one undertakes to indemnify. That's another keyword in that definition, right? Indemnify. Insurance contracts are contracts of indemnity. You're not intended to have a gain nor profit from the insurance policy. That's not the purpose of insurance. The purpose of insurance is for protection. It's to bring you back to the condition you were prior to loss. So there's different definitions for indemnity. I just gave you one. The other one, the first one is to restore, right? There's this definition for indemnity. The other one is to make whole, right? Is to make whole. But you have to consider that, yes, insurance contracts are designed to make whole. However, they're only going to make you whole based on the amount of coverage and the type of coverage you buy. A lot of times people think like, oh, they're driving around with the minimum auto insurance coverage of 15, 30, and 5. And guess what? In California, right? And that is not enough. I mean, I live in the San Francisco Bay Area, and a friend of mine was here visiting recently from Missouri, and she noticed all the Teslas. She said, there's a ton of Teslas here. And I'm like, I know. And can you imagine if you're driving around with 15, 30, and 5, the minimum California requirement for financial responsibility for auto, and 5,000 is for property damage. If you hit a Tesla, I think it's going to cost you more than $5,000. And see, they will restore you to the condition you enjoyed prior to loss in whole or part. And the part means that whatever you buy is what you're going to get covered for. So it's really important to understand that. Yes, you won't get more than the economic loss. It's only insurance is only designed to bring you back to where you were before. And it's only going to provide coverage to the limits of what you buy. The limit of liability for life insurance is another question I'm going to plug in here. The limit of liability for life insurance is the amount payable on the policy, which is the face amount. All right. Number 14, what type of risk results in loss or gain, or loss and gain? Remember, there's two types of risk, right? We've got a speculative risk, and then we have a pure risk. So of course, speculative is going to be loss or gain, or loss and gain. A pure risk results in loss or no loss, loss or no loss. I know it sounds kind of strange. However, think about it. If you have a pure risk, like driving, right? Driving is a pure risk. And if I'm going from home to work and I make it to work, yay, no loss. However, if I don't make it to work for some accident, because of some accident, then that would be a loss. I'm like, oh, boohoo, right? So that would be a pure risk, loss or no loss. That's how I usually explain the loss or no loss in class. And then a condition that increases the likelihood of an intentional loss. Well, first, let's define a condition that increases the likelihood of a loss. That by itself, that is a hazard. And there are 3 types of hazards. There is a moral hazard, a morale hazard, actually there's 4. Physical hazard and legal hazard. So all of these define the different types of hazards. The distinction in what sets this question apart as far as the difference between moral and morale, which has a little bit of an overlap, and I'm not going to go to the discussion about that. Again, if you want more deeper, information and understanding, then definitely come to class or come to our study hall. And the distinction though here is we're going to 50-50 these answers to moral and morale, right? Moral has to do with values and habits, and habits. Morale has to do with like carelessness, indifference, right? We can be careless from time to time. So carelessness and indifference. The distinction though between the two is that a moral hazard is intentional, whereas a morale hazard, it's carelessness, right? When someone's careless, they're usually the loss is usually unintentional. So with this example, morale with the E is unintentional, moral without the E, right, is intentional. So the correct answer for this question is moral. A condition that increases likelihood of intentional loss is moral. Well, thank you again for sharing this time with me and going over these 5 questions. Again, be sure to stay in touch, subscribe to our channel, join us on our monthly study hall in our live virtual classroom where you can ask questions, you get to connect with other students. I give you homework, we do quizzes, and I think learning is supposed to be fun, so I do my best to have fun. My philosophy is if you're not having fun, don't do it. And if you have to do it really fast. And so again, check us out at our website, quicklearningschool.com. If you have any questions, please ask in the comments below. And that way everyone can benefit from your question, and I'd be happy to answer them with further depth and explanation in the comments below. Anyways, have a great summer, and I look forward to seeing you in our next session.